full frame sensor camera or APS-C sensor camera. You're not sure which one to buy as a first camera as a beginner. Let me explain to help you to decide which ones you should get. This video is for you haven't bought a camera yet, thinking of upgrading maybe from a smartphone to a camera, or you already have a APS-C camera but you are not sure you want to switch to full frame sensor camera or not. So let's dive into it. First thing first, there is no better or worse full frame or APS-C. They are just different. Each has an advantages for different scenarios and situations. You may hear full frame is better than APS-C, so you need to upgrade from APS-C to full frame. It's a misconception that APS-C camera is for beginners and full frame is for professionals. Actually, lots of professionals using APS-C camera for client work as well. And also, APS-C camera are being used for professional filmmaking industry as well. So, if you hear you need to upgrade from APS-C to full frame, it may be different. Maybe switching for different purposes. I myself started with full frame, and later I got APS-C camera for specific purposes and specific scenarios. Nowadays, most of you see photos on smartphone and computers, and you cannot tell. We hardly discuss this photo is APS-C camera. This photo is a full frame sensor camera. Cannot tell the differences. Both cameras' images are pretty high quality already. You will go for full frame sensor camera or APS-C sensor camera. It will be a choice depending on your purposes and your budget too. Here is upcoming. Let's talk more about first, sensor size and crop factor, low light conversion, depth of field, size and weight, budget, summary, and more thoughts about it. The biggest difference full frame sensor camera and APS-C sensor camera is the size of the sensor. Full frame sensor camera is bigger than APS-C sensor camera. The bigger the sensor, the more light it can get. APS-C sensor camera has smaller sensor than full frame. What happens here is if you take photos with APS-C sensor camera, the image, for example, Sony camera 1.5 cropped the image, or you could say zoomed. Okay, let me explain. What happened here is that if you shoot using 50mm for full frame camera on APS-C camera, the image would be 75mm equivalent. If you shoot 200mm full frame camera on APS-C camera, that would be 300mm focal length equivalent. This extra reach would be advantage for taking photos of wildlife, for example, like shooting birds, and also sports photography, like sports players, any subjects you want to shoot far away. However, there is a scenario that you want to get a wide angle perspective. For example, if you want to shoot a real estate or interior shooting standing at the corner of the room, 16mm on full frame camera will do the best job. It can achieve a very wide perspective. It can make the image look much wider. Also, if you want to film vlog or social media content, 16mm on full frame camera, that would make things easier for you. You can show a wider perspective of surroundings in your room. Okay, now this is I'm filming 16mm on my hands. It's like setting I'm like this. Looks pretty wide, right? And if I shoot, this is 35. It's pretty close. Okay, now next is a conversion in low light situation. In general, in low light situation, full frame sensor camera perform better than APS-C sensor camera. It may not be quite complete, but in general, you could say yes, as this involves and depend on each camera model's processor and the sensor capabilities. Here, I have tested the following scenarios: daytime, dusk, night with lowest ISO, long exposure, night with aperture polarity, higher ISO. I give you those profile images from the description below. I want you to see and edit yourselves how they make the difference. For those of you who have used only APS-C sensor camera, you may be surprised when you make a heavy color grading. Full frame sensor images can maintain the beauty and texture and color when you do the heavy color grading. And compared with APS-C sensor camera images, richness in color may be a little bit, you'll find a difference. Okay, now here is a side-by-side comparison between APS-C and full frame camera. The left is APS-C, Sony A6400. The right is full frame Sony A7 IV. I took exactly the same setting, the same day, and I took the shot with the same composition. As you see, you don't zoom up, it looks pretty similar and cannot tell the difference. Let's take a closer look. If you zoom up, both are pretty looks okay, but APS-C seems a bit less sharp, I think. And let's take a look at the areas, to the shadow areas here. And see the darker areas. Full frame seems performs better and seems sharper than APS-C. But if you don't zoom up, it looks pretty similar, high quality. Okay, now next is the dusk, the sunset situation. You don't zoom up, it looks pretty similar. Full frame seems brighter than APS-C. Let's take a closer look at each images. If you zoom up, APS-C, the sky area and shadow areas seems less sharper than full frame. And even if you zoom up, APS-C is getting less sharp, and the sky has more noises here. But unless you don't zoom up, both images seems look okay. What do you think? Okay, now next is the nighttime photos, lower ISO and long exposure images. Take a look, it looks pretty similar. And if you zoom up, both look okay, I think. Long exposure, lower ISO situation, both look seems okay. Nice images. Now let's take a closer look to the shadow areas. And shadow areas, full frame seems sharper than APS-C, but it's hard to tell the difference. Both looks okay with lower ISO, long exposure images. Okay, now next is the nighttime image with aperture priority and higher ISO. ISO setting is 6400. Just take a look. If you don't zoom up, both look similar. However, you zoom up, as you imagine, APS-C has more noises and less sharper than a full frame. Shadow areas here definitely full frame is performing better than APS-C camera. But if you don't close up, both look okay. What do you think? As you see, daytime, dusk, night with lowest ISO situation, the images look pretty similar. Looks very high quality. However, the night session with aperture priority and higher ISO, it looks different. The images with APS-C sensor, as you see, it has more noises. So I could say this difference is the price you pay for. What do they think? For most people, you post on Instagram and see photos on computer. In that case, unless you zoom up and take a close look, it's not recognizable. Now, the next is depth of field. It's often a debating topic. In general, it is more likely that full-frame sensor camera can make more creamy, beautiful, blurry bokeh background than HPC sensor camera. That's why more portrait photographers prefer to use full-frame sensor camera. However, please do not misunderstand. This doesn't mean HPC sensor camera cannot make a beautiful bokeh blurry background images. Here, to avoid too technical matters, I would say full-frame sensor camera can make more beautiful blurry bokeh images. It is because ultimately what makes bokeh is faster aperture, distance of camera, subject, and background. Now, next is size and weight. APS camera is smaller and lighter than full-frame camera, so it would be more convenient and easier to carry for everyday camera and also convenient for traveling. For full-frame sensor camera, it is heavier than APS-C camera. It has more features and it has more dial buttons, such as it has dual SD card slot and it has more customizable dial buttons. These extra features would be convenient if you do lots of professional work. It's just a bit bulky and heavy, the body, and so are the lenses. Now, next is a budget. This is a very important factor which types of camera you'll buy. If you have enough budget, please go ahead to get full-frame sensor camera. You'll be very happy with it and you will not regret it. If the budget is limited, get APS-C sensor camera and get more lenses. This is also a smart choice. The price of APS-C camera and the lenses are often budget friendly. If you are just a hobbyist, just taking photos for your own hobby, and you're not going to do any client work, and the budget is limited, APS-C camera just would be fine. Actually, even for client shooting, APS-C camera is already high quality. I have done client work with APS-C camera, and they never ask me what kind of camera gears I'm using. It doesn't matter what camera gears you are using. The most important is you deliver awesome high quality photos to the client as they want. As long as you deliver beautiful high quality awesome photos, they're happy with it. Okay, now in summary, you have seen differences between full-frame sensor camera and APS-C sensor camera. Each has good advantages for different purposes and different scenarios. If you're gonna do more professional client work, making money, taking night photography, portrait work, and you have budget, that case, full frame sensor camera would do the best job for you. If you want to capture more wildlife, birds, sports that you want to capture far away, then APS camera would have an advantage and do the get job done. As for my personal experience, I have started with full frame sensor camera and I have been pretty happy with it. But there was a time that I wanted to have APS camera, and I got APS camera for specific purposes. I wanted to capture sunset time lapses with wide angle and tight shot of the sunset, the bigger sunset. In that case, you need two cameras, right? Wide angle and telephoto, very close-up images. That's why I got APS-C camera as well. I'm also using this APS-C camera, Sony A6400, as a backup camera for portraits and event photography. This camera's auto focus is pretty fast and accurate, and as you see, it's very compact and very light and easy to carry. It's a good backup camera for event and portrait, those kind of capturing people. Okay, in the end, if you're gonna buy full frame sensor camera or APS-C camera, it will be your choice depending on your purposes and your budget. Please remember, what makes the awesome photo is not the camera gear, but it's you, photographer, behind the camera viewfinder. Know about your own photography gear and be happy with it. Practice every day and enjoy your photography life. Thank you for listening. If you found this video to be helpful, please hit the like button so other people can watch it and get the safe information that they got. I have pretty much covered the difference between full frame and APS-C sensor camera. I'll be talking about essentials to grow faster as photographers for making money in the next video. If you wanna know, please check it out. See you in the next video.